This Wanderlust Wednesday, we go to Italy and Croatia. I'm not a native of Italy, but I love Italy, and like so many who've been there, I always long to go back. I also love Croatia, and today I have the privilege of bringing you virtually to both countries on our Italian Sojourn itinerary, when we review the spectacular landscapes, delicious cuisine, and fascinating culture of Italy and Croatia on this 8-day journey. So let's first watch a short film that'll bring this great itinerary to life.
Immerse yourself in the wonders of Italy on this spectacular 8-day voyage from Rome with Viking. Naples is one of the oldest continuously inhabited cities in the world, where the pizza is authentic and the attractions epic, including the ruins of UNESCO-listed Pompeii. Heading south, you arrive on the Isle of Sicily and the picturesque cliff-top town of Messina, gateway to majestic Mount Etna and the historic enclave of Taormina. Crotone on the Adriatic coast of Calabria is an unspoiled gem of castles and cathedrals, a quaint old town and fascinating archaeological sites. While Bari, located in the Puglia region, boasts a pedestrian-friendly medieval old town with castles and prehistoric wonders, including the Trulli houses of Alberobello. A brief diversion from Italy takes you across the Adriatic to Croatia and the charming port of Sibenik, whose famous Renaissance cathedral is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. At the top of the Adriatic lies the Venetian lagoon, your final destination. Enjoy the scenery on deck as your ship sails into Venice for 2 wonderful days amongst the canals, palazzos and museums.
Italian Sojourn is an 8-day journey available in 2 directions. Today we'll travel from Rome to Venice. On this itinerary, you'll uncover some of the most stunning architectural and cultural treasures of 2 countries, Italy and Croatia. If you've traveled with Viking before, you know that we have very knowledgeable tour guides. This itinerary includes a total of 6 guided onshore experiences, which take you closer to your destinations on our small ocean ship. We embark in Rome, the capital city of Italy. Keep in mind that your time here is limited on embarkation day, so if you'd like to experience the city, we recommend the 2-day Rome extension that you can find out more about on our website. You'll then sail to the other Italian cities of Naples, the island of Sicily, and then Crotone and Bari. Next, you'll visit Sibenik in Croatia before your voyage concludes in Venice, Italy. On day 1, we welcome you to Rome, where your voyage begins. Some of you will join us after your pre-extension stay. Others will arrive in Europe today. If you've arranged air travel through Viking, we'll transfer you from the airport to your awaiting ocean ship in Civitavecchia, which is the closest port to the airport and to Rome. After boarding and settling into your veranda stateroom, you'll have free time to relax before dinner. Should you have spent a few days in Rome before embarking, one thing that I highly recommend is to explore Rome by Vespa, with a guide, as I did. It's a great way to get to nooks and crannies of the city that you otherwise might not. And you need never have ridden a Vespa before. Take a little look.
Rome quite possibly has more beauty and history than any other place. It's a fascinating slice of the old world, with countless treasures ready to be explored. I decided to take in the city from a different and local point of view, enlisting my friend Claudio and his trusty Vespa. With a cool breeze in our face, Rome seemed to unfold before us. Meandering through this eternal city was delightful, exploring its quiet back streets and their sweet surprises.
Why do you think people love the Vespa so much?
The people like because is freedom. Italia, the freedom is the first for the life.
Freedom. It really is the best word to describe the little Vespa. Combine that with its unique look, and it's easy to understand why more than 18 million Vespas have been sold since its introduction in 1946. And why Italians say the Vespa is not just a scooter, but a way of life.
The Vespa, it's a very beautiful design.
But that's of course what Italy is famous for, great design. And the Vespa hasn't really changed.
Not changed because in any case, if the design is perfect, it's impossible to change.
Claudio wasn't kidding. The Italians won't change a design that works. In fact, the Vespa is still so loved, there's even a museum honoring its character. Brainchild of Piaggio, a retooled World War II aircraft company, the Vespa included clear aeronautical influences and an intriguing design that, when first shown to Enrico Piaggio, caused him to burst out, "Sembra una Vespa. It looks like a wasp." Many think it sounds like a wasp too. And so the name stuck, and the company cobbled together a scooter, utilizing everything at hand.
The first production is only green because it's a mix for the trucks in the world. And they use the same paint.
So the Vespa was created to allow Italians to get around their cities?
Yeah. After the Second World, about all family go in the Vespa, 5 people
On this
together.
size?
Yes.
The Vespa became a hit, nimbly navigating through Italy's war-ravaged cities and countryside. Then, with the 1953 movie Rome and Holiday, Rome and the Vespa captured everyone's imagination.
It's a dream, you know? You have the sound, zzz,
Yes.
the air condition, and the very beautiful city.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
When you're driving around town on a Vespa, what does it make you feel like?
It's incredible. The Vespa, for me, is the first love.
And you love your Vespa so much. You're writing songs to it.
I compose the opera for Vespa.
You're composing an opera for your Vespa.
Yes. Attraverso Roma in Vespa. Na 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 na.
Rome is a fascinating city that will truly take your breath away. And the Vespa is just one way to explore its beauty. This is a city awash in cultural treasures and fascinating people. I hope you'll go out and enjoy its many wonders. On day 2, you'll arrive in Naples, a city famous for spectacular examples of Greek and Roman architecture. Here's a short film about the mysteries that await you beneath the historic streets of Naples. The ancient city centre of Naples is Europe's largest, and within this UNESCO World Heritage Site are countless hidden wonders. History is all over and under the streets of Naples, and even under some people's beds. Entrances like this one, discovered in just 2003, lead to a world lost to time. A world more than 100 feet below the city streets. What began as an ancient lava flow was transformed in the 6th century BC into a mesmerizing labyrinth. Hand-carved by Greek slaves who sought building materials for the new city of Neapolis.
To build the houses where the people lived, the slaves dug out the holes. They come to this level, then they dug out the stones. Big stones for the big city wall of Naples. Little stones used for the houses. Then they put the stones on platforms, and then other slaves worked outside.
And this is volcanic rock, is it?
Yes, it's a volcanic rock. It's a yellow tuff stone, 2-4, from an eruption of Campi Flegrei over 30,000 years ago.
These massive man-made caves provided more than just stone building blocks. they also created a rare opportunity: the chance to possess one of the old world's most valuable treasures. Fresh, clean water from a reliable source. What had been useless caverns were given new life as invaluable cisterns.
Every building of the 15th, 16th century in the historical center has their own well, their own water. Imagine, in Naples, we have over 10,000 wells.
This water source served Naples faithfully. Then, when the region became part of the Roman Empire, the Romans implemented a radical change that vastly improved the water system.
They were very clever. They connected the cisterns with narrow tunnels, because if a tunnel is narrow, it's better for the pressure of the water, so the water was faster inside all the aqueduct. Imagine the water system in Naples was 300 kilometers long. So you could go from here to Pompeii walking under Naples.
The underground aqueduct remained in use until 1884, when a cholera pandemic closed it down. And it lay abandoned until World War II, when it was revived as an air raid shelter and protected thousands. In the Naples underground, peeling back history is an unending task. A process that's revealing significant finds, like this section of a Roman theatre. It offers a unique glimpse into the past, including the chance to study Roman construction techniques that have withstood earthquakes and the test of time. Today, these massive caverns have a new role as a working laboratory, with strawberries, basil, and other plants thriving in the cool, humid conditions. But it's just one of many ways these caves have continued to elude the hand of time. Next time you're in Naples, consider the fascinating history that lies below your feet, even if you don't venture down into the caves of Napoli sotterranea.
Speaking of architecture, you'll not want to miss the Basilico San Francesco di Paola at the Piazza del Plebiscito, one of the grandest public squares in the city. Or you may choose to visit the UNESCO World Heritage Site of Pompeii. You'll learn about a typical day in Pompeii and hear about its catastrophic destruction, centuries-long disappearance under stone and ash, and rediscovery during the 17th century. The local cuisine here in Naples is another highlight. Did you know the world's first pizzeria opened here in 1830? Alternatively, from Naples, you can drive with your guide along the coast to visit charming Sorrento. Here you can stop at a limoncello factory for a demonstration and a tasting of this popular lemon digestif. I learned how to make limoncello in Sorrento and would like to share the recipe with you here.
The sun-kissed Amalfi Coast is famous for its iconic landscapes and architecture. But it's also home to another treasure, the rare lemons that grow along these rugged cliffs, most of which are used to make the liqueur Limoncello.
Limoncello is my very favorite digestif in the world, and now that we're here in Sorrento, the birthplace of Limoncello, at this wonderful restaurant Perucchiano with its proprietor Enzo and his fantastic chef Luigi, you're going to show us how very simple it is to make
very
limoncello.
Simple. I tell you in advance. I don't want to say that our lemons are the best in the world, but it's the truth.
In fact, Sorrento lemons often cost twice what a regular lemon would, thanks to the fruit's superior juiciness, high levels of vitamin C, near seedless quality, and its delightfully distinctive fragrance.
If you only scratch the skin and you smell,
That's the smell of Sorrento.
see, the best limoncello is done with the lemon from Sorrento. So you need 7 lemons, 1 liter of alcohol.
And it can be any alcohol?
The highest you find. 700 grams of sugar.
So 100 grams of sugar for each
lemon.
lemon.
And 1 liter of water. So now we have to peel the lemon. Only, it's very important, the very first skin of the lemon, only the yellow one.
Not the rind, not the white
not
part.
at all.
No.
Bravo, chef.
You've made a lot of limoncello in your life.
We put now the skin in the alcohol.
So you make an infusion. You infuse the alcohol with
right.
lemon skin. Can you use vodka?
Well, probably.
It's a different kind. It's a vodka cello.
Will be different.
At this point, the concoction is left to set at room temperature. But since everyone in Sorrento has their own family recipe, the time it takes to let nature take its course can vary from 2 days to years.
When it's ready, the infusion, we take off the skin, we filter.
To make sure it's clean.
It's clean, you know. And then we boil the water, 1 liter of water with 700 grams of sugar in the pot.
Boil it for a long time or just until
Just
the sugar
when
melts?
it boil and, you turn the water till the sugar melts, sugar syrup. Then you wait till it's cold, you filter.
You filter that as well. And why do you filter that?
Because you can always get little sugar, which is not, because it's a lot, 700 gram for 1 liter of water. It can always stay a little deposit.
Lumpy.
We mix then the syrup, the alcohol, and the limoncello, it's done.
That's it. And then you just transfer it to...
Ready to drink.
That's it? So basically you can make limoncello in 2 days?
2 days, see.
The finished limoncello is stored in the freezer and served very cold. It's a delightful taste you really shouldn't miss when you're in Italy or at home.
Sailing on, today you'll call on the Sicilian city of Messina, celebrated as one of Europe's 10 great cities when it fell under Spain's purview in the 17th century. Our included guided tour offers a visit to the heart of Messina's historic centre. Here you'll see the expansive Piazza Municipio, the Via Garibaldi, and the Piazza Cairoli. A favourite part of this tour is the hillside votive temple of Christ the King, a Sicilian Baroque wonder. On Sicily's eastern coast is Taormina, with views of the Ionian Sea. This is the spectacular Greek theatre, beautifully situated with panoramic views of the sea, the countryside, and Mount Etna, Europe's largest active volcano. For something more physically active, you can journey up Mount Etna to a height of almost 11,000 feet. You'll learn about the different lava streams that descend down Mount Etna's slope. You'll also be treated to sweeping views of the countryside. We're now in Crotone, a Greek colony that dates to 710 BC. You might choose to visit the Sorrento winery, which produces organic Calabrian wine. They produce acclaimed red and white wines, and they also operate an olive oil mill and a Michelin-starred restaurant on their stunning estate. From here, you might choose to visit the fortress at the fishing village of Le Castella. It's believed that this was Homer's inspiration for the island of Calypso, the magical oasis that enchanted Odysseus and his men. You'll visit the fortress, which has foundations dating back to 204 BC. Welcome to the sunny city of Bari. It's home to a picturesque waterfront and a Romanesque basilica of St. Nicholas, shown here. On a walking tour of Bari, see castles and cathedrals, as well as Old Town's 2 main squares, Piazza del Ferrarese and Piazza Mercantile, pictured here. You'll learn about the city's thriving university, excellent cuisine, and latest renovations. Bari is also home to the Norman Swabian Castle, which dates to 1131. Today, it serves as the headquarters of Puglia's Directorate for Cultural and Landscape Heritage. We're now at the midway point of this itinerary, so let's take a moment to talk a bit more about the onboard experience and the amenities of your Viking ocean ship. After some days of sightseeing, you can book a service at the spa or take a dip in the hot and cold pools. We don't have many onboard shops, but we have carefully selected quality items, including Viking logo wear, other favorite Nordic products, some Viking replica jewelry, as well as other fine jewelry, sunglasses, and other amenities. To further immerse yourself in the destinations we visit, join the Onboard Viking resident historian for one of our iconic lectures or roundtable discussions. Here's a video about our Onboard cultural enrichment program and commitment to destination-focused learning.
Viking is committed to the idea of destination-driven learning, and the Resident Historian program offers many opportunities for our guests to really learn and explore and delve into the concept of the place. There's nothing like it in terms of the passion and the excitement that comes with sharing experiences. This is what I love. There are two aspects to the Resident Historian program. On the one hand, we have iconic lectures to provide a context for learning, thinking about, and anticipating the commentary from our local guides once we reach the port, and then be able to learn more from him or her on one of those excursions. We include aspects of the architecture, of the painting or sculpture or music, what it is that was so important in that chapter of history that was coming to life, perhaps for the very first time in Western civilization. But we also offer what we call round tables. These are smaller sessions that return one to a university setting with a discussion section. Guests who are keenly interested in a more minute or a specialist subject about the area that we're visiting. So that discussion section format is a little bit more intimate, breaks down some of the barriers of our large Star Theater audience, and allows us to also learn from one another. The resident historian also addresses various aspects of world history. So it's not just the ancient history, but also thinking about the people of the medieval periods and even up to the contemporary concerns. A resident historian may deal with the history of thousands of years ago, but as well the important and significant aspects of history in our lifetimes. Our resident historians are drawn from a wide variety of different facets of the field of history. All of them have either had teaching or lecturing experience and might have expertise in areas of military history, maritime history, perhaps art history or cultural history, music history, even Arctic exploration history, and they become part of a Viking faculty. What they bring to the enrichment program is of a specialist nature, but they're able to share their enthusiasm about what it is about their aspect and approach to history, why it's important, and why it's significant for our guests. The resident historian is also on board for the duration of the itinerary, not only attending the other lectures, attending and participating in different excursions up and in the ports, but also dining with our guests and around, available to field questions and to further discussions that may have been brought up from an aspect of an iconic lecture or perhaps one of those roundtable discussions. The opportunity to have that interface, that one-on-one learning with a resident historian. This is something that Viking prides itself on making very important, accessibility to the resident historians in so many different places aboard the ship. There's also plans for the resident historian to lead a group that would go in further depth, privileged access to learn about a site with the resident historian, to understand the nature of a museum, of an archaeological site, of some aspect of the contemporary culture that could be brought to life by having more time in depth spent with a knowledgeable expert. The resident historian is the guide at your side. For adult learning, there's nothing like it. History pervades a Viking ship, and we're very proud of that.
Continuing on, day 6 calls on Sibenik along the Dalmatian coast. This is Croatia's oldest city. On our included tour, we take you to visit St. James Cathedral, a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Construction on the basilica started in 1430 and then spanned over a century. Its architecture and design reflect the move from Venetian Gothic to Tuscan Renaissance. To experience the natural world, I recommend a visit to the Krka National Park in the nearby town of Skradin. The park covers almost 27,000 acres and is known for its cascading waterfalls and crystalline waters. While at the park, you'll also visit a small ethnographical exhibit and a restored watermill. I've never seen emerald cascading water like those in Krka National Park and had the privilege of visiting 3 times. On my first visit, I had a very memorable experience, one that is actually often retold to Viking guests when they visit. It's a story that sounds fantastical, but it's completely true in the case that you go and you hear it. I promise you, that did happen. To see how beautiful these waterfalls are, here's a little clip.
It's been said that when water meets stone, water always wins. And in its wake, water often leaves behind some very beautiful forms in nature. One of my absolute favourite examples of this is found in Croatia, the Krka waterfalls, where its relentless force sculpted a series of 17 steps through the rugged limestone landscape, creating the largest travertine cascade system in the whole of Europe. And the backdrop for an unexpected adventure on my first visit that started when my Labrador Finse, as a puppy, leapt in. The rapids quickly swept her downstream and I followed thinking I'd save her, which fortunately I ultimately did. I'm pretty sure Finse understands now the boardwalk through the forest is a much better idea, where you're accompanied on a gentle descent by a symphony of river sounds and dappled light. The payoff, Skradinski Buk, is a majestic sight, stretching several hundred meters across. Beyond the powerful visual display, this area is a vibrant ecosystem. There are 18 species of fish, 222 bird species, along with 860 species of plants, including the second highest density of lavender in Europe. Reminders of generations past are also here. A time when water power was in demand for grinding wheat, washing sheep's wool, and generating power for the Dalmatian hinterland. I hope you'll do as I did and embark on your own exploration of Krka Falls in Croatia's Krka National Park. It's a place I can't get enough of, and Finse and I return quite often, but thankfully not to reenact her first adventure.
One of Croatia's star products is olives, varieties of which are grown across the country to make its world-famous olive oil. It's estimated that Croatian olive oil producers make up 14% of the world's supply. This percentage surpasses other renowned olive oil-making countries such as Italy and Spain. Your voyage concludes here in Venice, where you'll have a final overnight stay. This is a city that hardly needs an introduction. Venice is a magical place, renowned for its art, architecture, and culture, and this is the legendary St. Mark's Square. Here's a short video about Venice.
Venice is built on an archipelago of 118 islands, with 409 bridges crossing 177 canals. But once you're here, facts and figures fall away. In Venice, you slow down and savor every moment. Because there's only one Venice. A city that will delight all your senses.
Whether you're interested in art, architecture, music or history, Venice has it all and much, much more.
A city of incomparable beauty, Venice, it seems, has more interesting features per square metre than anywhere else on earth. Perhaps the most famous is St. Mark's Square. This spacious piazza was once a tree-filled park that Napoleon called the drawing room of Europe. At the east end is St. Mark's Basilica, with its Byzantine mosaics. Just south is the Doge's Palace, filled with opulent interiors. And to the north, Torre del Orologio, the clock tower. Did you know it's possible to explore its inner workings? Beyond St. Mark's Square are other treasures you really shouldn't miss. Like Scuolo Grande di San Rocco and its Tintoretto masterpieces. Or the Peggy Guggenheim collection, set in the famous American's former home. Very modern and unexpected. But it's not the only surprise you'll find in Venice.
This is a book lover's paradise. Wall-to-wall books.
Known as Libreria Acqua Alta, it's home to over 10,000 books. And includes a most unusual staircase with a delightful payoff. And if you're really lucky, you can have fun learning to cook Venetian classics with a real Italian contessa in her real palazzo. Venice also has an old Jewish quarter. Here you can learn how the word ghetto originated while exploring the local history. And I'd highly recommend classical music Venetian style. A relaxed evening of Vivaldi, Bach and Mozart in a setting befitting these masters. Chiesa di San Vidal. Venice is a place you feel, and there's simply nowhere else like it. We look forward to seeing you soon and showing you this country's fascinating cultural treasures.
You may take a mesmerizing gondola ride through the canals of Venice. These distinctive flat-bottom boats, once the principal mode of transport in this waterborne city, are today its timeless symbol. Or we have a tour that allows you to discover the beautiful islands of Murano and Burano. Murano is nicknamed Island of Flames and is home to Venice's glassmaking tradition. My favourite water glasses that I have at home were gifted to me on my first visit to Venice and are made of leftover Murano glass. Incredibly colourful and make me smile simply looking at them. And on Burano, with its colourful houses, you'll learn about Venice's lace-making history. Your sailing with Viking concludes here in Venice. After breakfast on board, many of you will disembark and proceed to the airport for your return flight home. Or perhaps you've opted to continue your voyage with one of our extension packages. We offer many pre-post extensions to this itinerary, and as mentioned, you can find out more on our website if you'd like to extend your trip, either ahead of your sailing with us or after. Thank you for joining me today on Viking.TV. This concludes our presentation, and now my colleagues Leah and Federico, our greatest Italian expert, will be available to answer any questions that you may have.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Leah, and joining me tonight to answer your questions is Federico Costa. Federico has been with Viking since the beginning when we started sailing in the Mediterranean, and better than anyone, he knows Viking and Italy, of course. So we are prepared to answer your questions this evening. Heather will be reading them out, and we will try to give you as much information as possible.
Thank you, Leah. Our first question tonight comes from Sheila in the United Kingdom, and she says, what is your favourite excursion or excursions on this itinerary? Would you have any particular recommendations?
Oh my God, so much to do. We touched 2 countries in this itinerary, and all the ports have a wealth of history and tradition. We are fortunate enough to be able to spend a lot of time in port and explore locations further away from the location where we dock. I would have to say I have a personal inclination for tours that include food, but there is a lot of history that we can explore. We have Pompeii. We will have many locations in Bari, Alberobello, with the Trulli villages. Once we go into Croatia, of course, the Krka waterfalls are a must-do. But Federico could probably tell us what is his favorite in Italy.
Well, I change favorite excursion every time I go in a port because really they're rich. Leah knows that yesterday we were in Sicily, so I remained amazed for the 100th time about Taormina and Mount Etna. The idea to go on a Vulcan, and in the last month he's quite alive, to have to say, and is thrilling and is very exciting. But on the other side, today I was reading again the history of Alberobello in Bari, and I discovered just a funny story that it was done in the 15th century that they put a taxation on the new buildings. So the owner told the farmers to build the small houses just with stone, dry stone. And so they invented these circular small houses and the roof. And these were the trulli, the typical building of the village comes from. So everywhere you go, there is an experience waiting for you.
Thank you. Linked to that, we have a question actually from James in California, and he asks, do people actually still live in the little white houses in Alberobello?
Yes, people still live in the little white house, and in the last 10-15 years, there has been many of these houses became a private holiday house. And because they are also one linked to the other. So, I mean, one house is nearly one room, but there are 5 houses, one close to the other. And you make something like a tunnel, a white tunnel between one house and the other, and you have a 5-room apartment with your garden. So there are inhabitants local there, but there is a lot of foreign people who decided to invest their holiday, the time of their holiday in these houses.
Thank you, Federico.
Thank you.
A question from Virginia in Somerville in the United States, and she says, which are the best excursions for food lovers on the Italian Sojourn?
I'm not in the position because I eat everything to answer.
So there are a lot of activities that include food. Italy and Croatia. Italy is a country that has food at its heart, and people have this tradition of love is expressed through food. So that's you will find that many of our experiences, even though they are not labeled as culinary or with included food, there's always a little touch that will give you a little insight into the culture. My personal favorite would be in Bari, and there are a lot of masserias where you can go. We have a particular experience that will take you to Ceraudo, where you can have a cooking lesson. You'll learn how to make pasta, the proper pasta, as the Italians like to say. And you can take the recipe with you home, of course, and then you can recreate it for your family as well. Federico, what would be your favorite food tour?
Well, the favorite food tour, it is a tour because there is different food all around Italy. If we just think about the handmade pasta in Rome, going to the mozzarella and pizza in Naples, then we go to the cannoli in Sicily, then we go to the orecchiette pasta and the fish in Puglia, and then we arrive to Venice. And of course, there is no food without drinking as well. And Italy is very famous, and our southern part of our country is very famous for its wine. The southest you go, you find a better white wine. In the center, you find a better red wine. But again, as you said, food is our expression. We don't express ourselves only with the hands, but also with eating together. And it's a way to socialize and to enjoy friendship.
On the subject of wine, and if wine is something that would interest you, I would suggest one of the wineries would offer in Mount Etna. The wineries are on the slopes of Mount Etna, so the grapes have a very specific and particular flavor because, of course, they are being heated by the soil of the volcano. So it is quite an experience.
Wonderful. Thank you both. Our next question is from Mabel in Los Angeles, and she says, can you tell us more about the pre-cruise stay in Rome? Is 2 days long enough to see all of the highlights, do you think?
Well, I prepared a little bit, and I said I went on the internet and I said highlights of Rome. Came out 3 pages today. And oh, what should I? Yeah, I mean, you have a taste of Rome, I believe, in 3 days, 2 nights. Even if I have to say that Rome, in every corner, there is an important monument. There is a part of Italy, a part of history, a part of the Roman Empire. So you have the Foro Imperiale, 20 meters from the Colosseum, which is 100 meters from Fontana di Trevi. So, I mean, I believe that Rome is, yes, of course, 3 days, 2 nights can be longer, but it is very easy to optimize your journey and to see really everything, Vatican included. There are some other town around the world that they have their interest place, one north, one south, etc. Rome is very concentrated, and you can also rent a Vespa and see all Rome just by night. So, I mean, yes, you can stay longer in Rome, but if you want a taste of Rome, you can have a great taste of Rome in 3 days, 2 nights.
Thank you, Federico. You mentioned the Vespas there. We've had quite a few questions about that. So Diana in State College in the United States, she'd like to ask, when hiring a Vespa, how can we be sure it will be safe? And does Viking have certain people that you will deal with?
Well, as a company, we do offer the Vespa tour. We take all precautions. The Vespas that we offer, they are driven by local specialists. These people are trained to take into account our passenger safety and the conditions of the road on the ground. They are knowledgeable in traffic regulations and the roads layout. I would say if this is something you wish to do on your own, you would need to check into the reviews, see if they are a reputable agency that is providing the service. Safety cannot be overlooked. Rome is a very busy city. Traffic is sometimes can be chaotic. So this is something that if you are not comfortable in this setting, I wouldn't suggest you do on your own. But it is, of course, doable.
And the big part of Rome can be seen only walking, because it's forbidden to the Vespa more than to the cars. So if I can suggest something, because again, Rome is very concentrated, I would rent a bike if you want to do it faster.
Thank you. A quick question from Simon in Charlottesville. He would like to know how far from the city of Rome is the port of Civitavecchia?
Civitavecchia is located about an hour and a half from Rome, correct, Federico?
Yes, it's an hour and a half, 73 kilometers.
Yeah, they are connected by highway. So it's a fast and easy ride.
Perfect, thank you. Question from Meryl in Madison in the United States, and she says, I'd be interested in your thoughts on which is the best direction to travel, Rome to Venice or Venice to Rome?
Well, they are both identical, so there's really no best direction. You visit the exact same ports. And it's the same experience that we offer in one direction, we offer in the next direction. So there's no differentiator. In terms of time of the year, we offer it year-long as well. So it's just which of the cruise departures best suits your schedule.
Thank you, Leah. A question from Beryl in Rowlett, I think in the United States, and she says, do any of the Viking excursions include a gondola trip in Venice? Or if not, how easy is this to arrange for yourself?
We offer gondola, yes. We offer two alternatives. We have a private gondola for two, and we offer a group gondola. I think maximum 4 passengers we will have there. So you can either decide if you want to have a romantic evening or if you want to have a bit of a party with your friends.
Perfect. Thank you, Leah. Question from Jax in Florida. And they say, the Tuscany extension looks amazing. Can you tell us a bit more about this and if it is available for all departure dates?
Tuscany extension before the embarkation in Civitavecchia, correct?
Yes.
Well, again, Italy is full of history, and Tuscany is the place of the Renaissance. So you have the Medici family, and you have incredible masterpiece, and historical castles, especially historical villas. And the pre-extension is always available. And in the pre and in the post, depending if you do Rome to Venice or Venice to Rome, and is done in order to offer also this part of Italy for a 4-day, 3-night, including 3 overnights in a villa. In a villa that the villas are chosen the majority of the time are old family villas. That has been adapted to welcome guests. So you still feel that there is the room of the grandma, the room of the mother, and the sister, etc. And they are with a unique panorama on the Chianti. Chianti is all the hill where they produce the famous wine. And in the 4-day, 3-night, we can see Florence. We can see Siena. Siena is famous for her Palio di Siena, is the horse race that happens twice every summer. And then we see San Gimignano, the tower village, medieval village famous for his towers. And as we were talking about food before, between one village and the other, one attraction and the other, we always stop to taste wine, to have wine tasting, to have food tasting, because Tuscany is famous for meat and for ham as well, and especially for olive oil. I know that olive oil is the Italian olive oil is worldwide famous, and the majority is coming from Tuscany. So it's an extension that I really suggest in order to make a top itinerary, modern top itinerary. I mean, you really have all the history of 1,000 years and all the Italian experience that you can have, because Italy is done from north to the south. So somehow we are many different countries together, but they have different habits, different characters, and a different welcoming attitude, but always a very high welcoming attitude.
If I may add something just to keep in mind, Heather, because it is quite a popular extension for us, and it is completely bespoke. We utilize most of the time private villas, so we have reduced capacity. If the guests are interested, they should book early on. But if you do find yourself wanting to book it and it shows sold out, contact customer center. We will be able to look into the case for you. Sometimes we close it temporarily just to assign the villas for a certain departure, but then we can open again with some more added space depending on the time of the year and the departure. So don't lose hope. Send us an email and we'll look into it.
That's really helpful. Thank you, Leah. A question now from Frida in Rochester, and she says, how hot does it get in the summer in Italy? And in your opinion, which is the nicest month to visit?
Federico? July, August? How hot does it get?
I mean, well, I was thinking before about Tuscany and Italy in general. I mean, Italy has a very mild weather. Mild weather, it means that is warm in the summer, cold in the winter, but is never too cold or too warm. Of course, if you go in Sicily, 15th of August, maybe is a little bit. But we are lucky because Italy is on the sea, and so it's very windy. And of course, we visit towns and places around the coast. So being windy is not humid. So honestly, I think the summer is summer from May to October. But year round is a great destination. But she was asking about the summer. Summer is 30 degrees. Sorry, I don't know the Fahrenheit conversion. But is no humid, and I think summer, July can be. If I have to choose a month, I would choose July.
Thank you so much. And just one more question about the weather while we're talking about it. We have Shay from Holland in the United States, and she says, we will be there the last 2 weeks in October. What weather could we expect?
Weather can change, of course. As Federico mentioned, it is a mild climate. So I would think that if you travel with, if we consider all possibilities, a light rain jacket and a sweater in case it gets chillier in the evenings, it shouldn't require more than that, but we should always prepare for any possibility. In the usual year, following the pattern, it should be very, very mild. I can say it in centigrade, so it should be around the 15 to 18. So that's very mild and still very pleasant for that time of the year.
Perfect. Thank you very much. A question now from Diana in the United States, and she says, after you make limoncello, do you drink it straight or do you make it into a drink?
Depending on the mood, of course. And if you are in a hurry. No, we don't drink in a shot, usually like tequila. We try to drink it. First of all, we drink it cold. We put it in the refrigerator because it doesn't become ice, but it just becomes cold. And we try to taste it slowly. And again, also limoncello is an opportunity to socialize and to enjoy.
Wonderful. Thank you, Federico. A question now from Caitlin in West Bloomfield. And she says, the Vespa experience looks great, but is it also possible to do something similar in an Italian classic car, such as a Fiat?
That is a very good question. We currently do not offer that possibility. It is somewhat challenging to operate in particular cars in Rome due to local regulations. And it's a good idea, something that we could look into. Thank you for the tip.
Thank you, Leah. Ray in California says, can you tell us a bit more about the Parma and Bologna extension, please?
Yes, Parma and Bologna. Parma and Bologna is a new extension, and I would like, but I cannot share the picture of our guest yesterday in the ham factory, all dressed up and hugging huge Parma hams. No, the excursion is a mix between food and art. And is again a 4-day, 3-night. On the first day, you arrive to Parma, and the day after breakfast, you go to Bologna. Bologna is you have a guided tour there in Piazza Maggiore. You see the Gothic facade and all the town. Afterwards, you drive to Maranello. Maranello is, you were talking about cars before, so is the home place of Ferrari. And so you can see the museum of Ferrari. And so I asked to our tour guide that if the wives were happy or unhappy, because I said the wives were the most happier than the husband, because the museum is really interesting. There is a history. There are all the cars that was since 100 years ago. And after these, you drive to Parma. On the last day in Parma, you go to the countryside, as I said before, looking for food experience. And so you go to this ham and parmesan as well factories, and you experience all the process that make arrive the ham on your table. In the afternoon, of course, you see Parma. Parma is the place where the most important 19th century Italian music compositors were based. And Parma is a small walking town with a fantastic classical theater. And afterward, you drive to Civitavecchia and to embark your cruise. So it's a new good extension, and give another part of Italy and another aspect of our life.
Wonderful. Thank you, Federico.
You're welcome.
A question now from Nora in the United States, and she says, at each stop, is there time to just wander around and find your own local restaurant?
Under normal circumstances, yes. We allot as much time in port as possible. Of course, currently, and due to restrictions with COVID, independent exploration is not allowed in Italy. That is decided by the local authorities, by the Italian government. But we do offer activities where we try to show you as much of the local life as possible, so that you don't miss out on the experience of visiting Italy.
Wonderful. Thank you, Leah. Our next question comes from Debbie in the United States, and she says, can you tell us some more information about the cooking class in Venice with the Countessa, or any other cooking classes that are available to do in Venice?
Yeah.
The cooking class in Venice is, of course, following the tradition of tours that we design, where we try to showcase the best of local culture and local traditions, and same as we would have in other locations. And in this case, it is with someone. It is with someone that understands Viking and knows what we stand for, and it features local products.
Wonderful. Thank you, Leah. A question here from Margaret in the United States, and she would like to know, when is the best time of year to go if she's interested in seeing the harvests of truffles and olives?
If I understood correctly, where is the best place to go with for truffle hunting?
Yes.
Okay, allora truffle, we perform not in this itinerary because the truffle is, well, the most famous place for truffle is Alba, is Piedmont, so is in the north part of Italy. But again, Tuscany is a great place for truffles. And but of course, we are not calling Livorno in this itinerary. But if you buy the itinerary before, maybe you can enjoy a truffle hunt in Livorno as well.
You could always book a combination cruise and do the Venice to Barcelona. And then you make sure that you get all of Italy.
All. Except the Alps, of course.
And then they would need to go on a river cruise.
You say that, Leah. As we have a question from Joe in New York, and he actually says, if we wanted to join two itineraries together, which would you add to this one? Is there any other one that naturally fits with this to see more of the Mediterranean? He says, we would like to travel for almost a month.
Oh my God! For almost a month, you could actually. I would suggest you could do Athens to Barcelona, and then you really have the whole of the Mediterranean in terms of history, in terms of food, in terms of culture. You will see that natural progression from one country to the other, and that is amazing.
Thank you. Our next question comes from Donna in the United States, and she just asks, have both of you been to the Castellana caves in Bari? And if so, would you recommend them?
I am sure Federico has.
Castel del Monte, eh?
Castellana Caves.
Castellana Caves.
In Bari.
In Bari, Castellana Caves? Cosa sono? Sono a Bari. E cosa dico? Le facciamo?
We need to translate to Italian.
E cosa c'è? Okay. So the Castellana caves are in Bari, and they are the typical caves with in the English word for stalactiti and stalagmiti. So are quite famous, and I have to say that it's a good excursion with a good satisfaction of the experience.
Wonderful, thank you. We have another question from Donna. So she says, we definitely want to try the Florentine steak. Does the villa in our Tuscany pre-extension serve this? Or if not, which restaurant would you recommend?
Well, in the villa we have, of course, meat course, and sometimes we have as well the Fiorentina. The Fiorentina is a typical from Tuscany, and in any restaurant in Florence you have it. You have the bone, and then you can cut it normally, or you can cut it as a tree, and is a great experience. Is cooked rare, I would suggest, with just some potato on side, and you can find in any restaurant in Florence, and as in Naples, everywhere you can find a great pizza. In Florence, you can find a great Fiorentina.
If I may add, Montredis, our specialty Italian restaurant, of course, has one of the best bistecca Fiorentinas. So you will not be too far from the best bistecca Fiorentina you could possibly get.
Perfect. Thank you both. Anne in the United States, she actually asks, will the food and wine on board be primarily Italian?
So we do, we currently have on board our own Manfredis, and that is a full Italian fare. And as with every itinerary, we We want to make sure that the food we serve, both in the restaurant and in the World Cafe, they reflect the cuisine of the region we are sailing in. We source locally for the products. So yes, you will find that we adapt the menus to reflect the most traditional dishes for the location we are in.
Wonderful. Thank you, Leah. A question from Sharon in the United States, and she says, how much time do folks have to explore each place that Viking stops?
We have an average of full days in port, so you will have a lot of time to explore the locations. In Venice, we will have an overnight, so that is an added bonus for you to explore the city.
Wonderful, thank you. A question from Gary in the United States. I think, Federico, you mentioned this briefly earlier. He asks, is there an opportunity to go cycling on any of the...
Sorry, I didn't hear.
Cycling, your favorite sport?
My favorite sport, no, but you saw me fast walking and you remained surprised. Many of the historical center in Italy are pedestrian and they are forbidden to cars, to motorbikes and whatever. And you have an e-bike or normal bike. I don't suggest to take the, how you say, the one with the two small wheels. It's not a skateboard. I don't know the English for. Okay.
A push bike.
But the bicycle in the old historical center is an easy and also fun way to explore and to discover.
Thank you. Another question here from Anne in the United States, and she asks, can you tell us about any opportunities to hike on Mount Etna?
We do include we do have a tour that goes up to Mount Etna, and you will have the opportunity to walk. Hiking we wouldn't suggest, mostly for safety reasons. The walking portion that we include in our tours is fully guided, and we make sure that the routes we follow are safety approved and they are controlled and supervised. Mount Etna is an active volcano. And with that comes all the dangers. So we want to make sure that you are as safe as possible, and we keep our activities for controlled routes.
Perfect, thank you. And one last question, I think, for tonight. Could you both give us your recommendation? Which of the pre and post cruise extensions would you recommend adding on?
Well, we talked about Tuscany a lot, and this is the most famous extension. But another extension that is, I have to say, great is Umbria. Umbria is maybe not so known in the world, but is the birthplace of St. Francis from Assisi, and is one of the most charming region in Italy. This, if we talk about extension land tour before the embarkation in Rome. If we disembark or embark in Venice, I think that the most attracting is Verona and Como. So you can fly to you fly to Milan in 40 minutes. You are in Como, and you are on the lakeside, and you can discover Bellagio with private boat. You can discover Como, that is the birthplace of Alessandro Volta, and also again with the cooking lesson in cooking lesson and cooking show. That is the chef is not speaking English, so you should see how a non-speaking English chef can be so attractive, explaining how to make the pasta, handmade pasta, and then you can taste in the evening. After 2 nights in Como, then we drive to Verona, the town of Romeo and Giulietta, and of course the famous Arena of Verona, and then we go and we embark in Venice. This is, I think, after Tuscany, the most famous extension and the most appreciated extension. But then there are many others I mean, I like Italy. I'm Italian.
My personal favorite would be Como and the Italian lakes, which also features Lake Maggiore, which for me is a pearl, much quieter and probably not as known as Lake Como, but featuring the Borromeo Islands. It is just one of those places where you can sit and just watch life go by. You can sit in a little cafe by the lake and just watch the life that happens there. The grandparents with the kids to school in the morning, the families with small kids enjoying the lakeside in the evening. It is just refreshing for the soul.
Wonderful, thank you both. And one quick personal question, which has come in from Anna in San Diego. She asks, are both of you from Italy, and where do you live?
I live in Genoa. Well, I officially live in Genoa, but I travel around Italy all the year. Last night I was in Messina. The day before I was in Catania. On Monday I will be in Florence. I have to say it's not a job. It's a great life. And in the weekend I come back to Genoa. That is always on the sea and is always a port.
And I am Portuguese. I have not been blessed to be born in Italy, but I have been blessed with spending many hours and days in Italy. And it has some of my favorite places in this world. Rome, for example, just walking around in the city really gives you a sense of how big the world is and how much has happened before already and how much will happen still. So it really makes you feel like the world is so much bigger than you.
That's wonderful. Thank you both so much for your time tonight.
Thank you, Heather.
Thank you.
Thank you, Federico, for joining me.
Thank you, Leah. And we wait all the guests in Italy. I wait all of you in Italy, of course.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight.